Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting, another wondrous, another fantastic Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, 1 versus 1 on Minsk Pocket, Northwestfresh, fighting for the Soviet Union for the 215th Rifle Division, going out against Riggs of the 3rd SS Panzer Division Totenkopf. Starting out with a dual pioneer start, thus indicating an aggressive start towards gaining territory from the Germans. Infantry company swiftly following up, obviously. More usual stuff from Northwestfresh. No initial buildings, just some conscripts arriving to fight for the glory of Mother Russia. Also noting a westward push, whereas the German players pushing east. Either player clearly not heading towards the centre, although the conscript, of course, might be there to rectify that initially. And we are seeing an immediate grenadier squad arriving for Riggs. So far, so good. Continued westwards movement from the combat engineers. Pioneers heading west as well. So far, the German players seem to be ignoring the central fuel point. That's definitely interesting. Usually you'd see the fuel pump being one of the first points to be taken, but clearly Riggs have got other ideas. Or has gotten other ideas. Otherwise I'd be implying he'd be a more, well, plural entity and not a single person. So my apologies. Victory point there being secured. Northwestfresh ignoring, for the time being, the victory point, instead going for more resources initially. Clearly a greedy little fellow. And there we go, gunners arriving. MG42 following up. Second squad of conscripts there. All quiet so far. The Oberblitz standing about. But there's also only the more usual truck the Germans had. Although for a larger part they still had a huge mess of trucks. In particular in the start. All kinds of trucks. French, Austrian, Czechoslovakian. Whatever they also managed to capture. They also had a huge slew of Russian trucks. And probably some American trucks as well, since they probably took those from the Russians as well. Grenadiers following up there. Pioneers continuing up here, likely going to meet them in first engagement, which would be versus the conscripts, which would definitely not be to the advantage of the Pioneers. Pioneers, though, did win the West. One combat engineer, though, had to die for that to happen. Additional conscripts arriving, and there we go. Conscripts versus Pioneers. But Grenadiers do arrive in time and can quickly take up position here and cover, thus spelling the doom of the conscripts. They quickly force away. Yuri having already lost his life. So a bit unfortunate there. Russians counter-attacking in the west. We are seeing an immediate move towards the Special Fire Command after 3 conscript squads. Not unusual. MG42 sitting up, but the conscripts are just not fast enough and setting up straight in front of the deployed MG42. And it turns into a massacre with several losses and the rest having taken a punishing beating. That was rather a close brush with disaster there for Riggs. At the same time, though, had those conscripts been a bit faster, Riggs very well could have lost that MG42, so obviously it's not as straightforward as, you know, just Northwestfresh being totally daft. Also noting here, Riggs actually pretty quickly setting up a bunker, but also note the placement of the bunker. It's likely going to be able to cover this area with a machine gun. Pretty clever placement there, pretty clever. And certainly a method here for Riggs to actually clear up his right flank. So well thought out there, my friend. At the same time pushing up here, but a slight mistake made, and the MG42 quickly gets flanked there, swiftly and boldly by Northwestfresh, resulting in the retreat of the MG42. 2 Grenadier squads ready. Counter-attack going in there from Northwestfresh from the north. And we are seeing Riggs moving up his infantry to try and deal with this mess. There we go. Light scout car arriving for Northwestfresh, the M3A1. And some combat engineers joining in as well. Flamethrower firing when, there we go, the scout car providing a bit of fire support with his 50 caliber machine gun. Turning into the Grenadiers, and Riggs really needs to get them out there, down to 1 man. This is bad, this is really bad. Another Grenadier squad does arrive in time and does provide ample, sufficient covering fire, but that was bloody well close, perhaps too close. And no taking up. Looks like a bunker is going up in the base. Medic bunker then. MG42 number 2. Grenadiers pushing forward, perhaps trying to catch down that scout cover, not having any success, instead suffering. Pioneers left behind to deal with the Pioneer squad. Oh, Pioneers left to deal with the Soviet troops. And there we go, the Grenadiers retreat as well. In the meanwhile, making good progress in the west. Machine gun bunkers up. Not machine gun gunker, that sounds wrong. And somehow dirty. If not morally questionable. Mines up, good, but the enemy spotted it. And in the case of mines, they're like a good surprise. You don't want the other side to know about it until it's too late. Northwestfresh seems a bit indecisive, but looks like a sniper team is arriving, so likely he's going to pop that in there. Not the most original, but I suppose one that is seemingly getting a bit of popularity lately. There we go. Rick's actually upgrading his grenadiers with light machine guns. That should be good fun. Also noting joint operations, Jaeger infantry, and assault support doctrine for Rick's. Nice little combination here. Actually gives him several different possibilities to go here. If he wants to focus on infantry, there's that. If he wants heavy armor, some support for that, and some artillery officers, there's that. And of course, if he wants more static fighting with some otherwise serious firepower as well, there's that. Both of them, by the way, offering artillery officers. Scout car pushes onwards with its sniper team in it. And another light machine gun. So Riggs pushing the infantry component pretty hard. Getting some very heavily upgraded grenadiers. Plenty of firepower. And Pioneers certainly joining in there, but now they are suffering rather heavily. Good job then upgrading both Grenadier squads. A bold move, but also a historically accurate move, since of course now then these two would actually be a full Panzer Grenadier squad in essence. Light machine guns blasting into the conscripts over there. More scout cars actually arriving for Northwestfresh, increasing the overall firepower, of course, being provided by those two. And a quick rout grenade as well, and the conscripts actually run into it, suffering nastily here. They could in fact get wiped out, but no, looks like Boris makes it out of there alive. You need fire support? In the meanwhile, looks like we are seeing a rather quick tech rush going on here from Rex, having played a decent tier 1. Not invested in any fuel, instead invested resources in other matters to try and, well, in fact, in part cover up the frontage so you can actually focus what few troops he has and apply pressure that way. Mine here hasn't been cancelled, by the way. Interesting. Oh, bad move there by Rick Spring in his MG42, and there we go, being properly punished by Northwestfresh with a scout car. Getting very lucky there that the scout car was in a slightly awkward position. Otherwise, I mean, he could have wiped out that MG42 crew and gotten himself an MG42. But good usage there of the scout car, dealing with harassment on the flanks, punishing it in the name of Comrade Stalin. But so far, pretty good unit preservation from both sides. No squads really lost. So we'll play it there. Nice and impressive. Good play. And there we go, 2 light machine guns up. That conscript squad is definitely in for a world of pain. And realizes this and decides they have other places to be. Places with less bullets flying around their ears. Scout car pushes up. And a Panzer IV. Not deeply surprising, I suppose. Of course, question is, how shall he handle it? And shall there be any variation to the theme? Alternating a weapon support weapon company up, so going for a pretty heavy tier 1, since again both buildings here are tier 1. Some people like to say this is tier 1, this is tier 2. That's a bit silly, since that's pretty much saying like the same step is in fact 2 steps on a staircase. Either way, scout cars rolling up there. Grenadiers, veterancy 2, lovely, lovely, but the scout cars are running up nasty pressure. Snipers have actually abandoned the scout cars. Look like they actually died. How on earth did that happen? I have no idea. Apparently they got killed inside it and are sort of sticking out. I know it can happen, but oh well, I suppose the Panzerfaust, or perhaps he launched a rifle grenade into it? That's also possible, I suppose. I have to admit that one's a bit of a mystery. Now, best case, basically, here's a fire rifle grenade into that and actually did the trick, which is feasible. But very well played there by Riggs. Then popping over though to Northwestfresh to see how fresh this man from Northwest is. Another rifle grenade flying through the sky, blowing up the vile Bolshevik dirt, teaching it the virtues of fascism. Or something like that. But there we go, Panzerkampfwagen rolling up. Upgraded with a machine gun on top. Scout cars definitely getting a bit more than they bargained for. Veterans who won there. Could we see overdrive in an attempt to salvage it? Panzer IV in the meanwhile runs forwards past conscripts pinned to the ground like bugs, tearing into them. The Totenkopf's armor rolls ahead. And we are seeing a field gun up in time. Good time, in fact, from Northwestfresh. And there we go. Nice hit on the Panzerkampfwagen 4. And a quick turnabout there, pulling it back into safety of the woods. The safety of the woods. And a quick upgrade to anti-tank grenades as well to support the field gun by basically damaging and hampering the mobility of the tank, allowing the field gun more time to actually deal some damage. So good combination there, good combination. But at the same time, as you can obviously see, Mr. Riggs has made good progress in the name of the Reich. He's taken a lot of ground, he's done some damage. Although certainly Northwestfresh has also been giving him some good challenge, and he's certainly not been losing too many units. In fact, the only loss really has been the snipers so far. Overall, considering he's still got a nicely intact forcing, he still applies some pressure. In fact, currently Riggs does have a lot of territory to hold, and if Northwestfresh takes advantage of this properly, he can actually do a lot of damage. Scout car rolls in. I think that might be a bit too optimistic thought there by Northwestfresh, and the scout car and 2 accompanying engineers do suffer the penalty. And there we go, field gun firing away. Could conscript, and we're also noting Terror Doctrine up. Terror Doctrine for Northwestfresh. He can already use fear propaganda artillery. Shock troopers can be called in. KV-8s can also be soon summoned alongside the howitzer and the bombing. And they're going to tank grenade on the Panzer IV. Nice flank there from the scout car on the MG42. Guten Arbeit. I mean, good work. Less guten Arbeit, since that's supposed to be the Germans.
Red Army at your service.
And the Grenadier Squad standing a bit alone on his own there, unupgraded, unsupported. And the Panzer IV is also a bit of trouble with the damaged engine, quite damaged, no pioneers in sight, although we do see some veterans 2 arriving. Whereas we see another force from Riggs making progress up the left flank. Again, continued aggression, harassment, but also now more serious counterattack going in. And we're seeing another scout car and another field gun. Northwestfresh clearly having something in mind. And we're seeing Jaeger infantry up, perhaps. Yes, in fact, Jaeger infantry, since they give air for the freeze, and that was the only doctrine that offered it. So Jaeger infantry versus Terror. Molotovs. Though we should, of course, be careful versus Grenadiers with light machine guns and the Gewehr 43s. That is a lot of firepower rolled into one squad. An awful lot of firepower. And in particular, once they hit veterancy 3, they are going to be some real killers. Enemies of the Soviet peoples, even.
Gun here. Conscripts here.
And a packed forces. Looks like he's ticked back. Got himself some Panzerabwehrkanone. Got another grenadier squad with Gewehr 43s and the light machine gun. Scout cars doing what they can. Conscripts perhaps acting a bit as a distraction. Yes, indeed. Cheeky play there by Northwestfresh. Made good progress up the centre, although encountering a bit of nasty resistance right there. And there we go, veterancy free for the Grenadiers. That is very bad news for the conscripts. Very, very bad news. Also noting here, used overdrive tech to retreat out of there. Good job, good job. And the advance of the Panzerkampfwagenfehler, another one, perhaps, yes indeed, following up. Looks like Riggs is one of those who are quite fond of the Panzer Force, but perhaps doesn't quite know why. We do see another one, which is actually covering the first one. Field gun also here turning about. And there we go, Panzer 4 caught between two. Crossfire. Riggs seems a bit unsure what to do. Now he's trying to get behind the first field gun, but will it be in time? And there's still this one that can move up. Oh dear, oh dear. This is very bad news for Riggs. Very bad news. He should not have rushed that Panzer 4 like that. And there we go. Panzerkampfwagenfehler kaput. Well punished. And the Grenadier squad there looks like it's gotten wiped out. And dropped a light machine gun. Plus, of course, the Gewehr 43s are also lost. So that's 120 munitions. Plus the 240 manpower on the squad. Of course, all the veterans. And they were veterancy free. So that was actually a brutal blow delivered right there to Riggs. Well done, using scout cars in fact, and of course the combat engineers inside, well done in fact, and a KV-8 flamethrower tank. This is definitely some slightly more unusual play, but not bad at all. What we like to see. And of course another Panzerkampfwagenfehler is ready to try and dispute the Soviet advance. And there we go, conscripts with a light machine gun, pop them into the scout car and flank about with them. You can really do a lot of damage. In particular since these are veteran 2 and thus will be even more accurate with a light machine gun. Slightly missed opportunity right there with the scout car, but I suppose that's it. KV-8 moving up and burning away at the MD crew and basically lighting them on fire like candles. Very, very unsafe candles in fact. The ones that you shouldn't be using without adult supervision or not at all. In fact, they're probably illegal. Encountering a bit of resistance, but also noting there's an MG42 now left behind. Riggs again spreading out support units a bit too far and not supporting them properly. And Northwestfresh admirably taking advantage of that using the KV-8 and other units. So well done there. Support units are support units. They support other units. They are not what you're meant to hold up the entire front line with. In that sense, Riggs is getting perhaps a bit too bold, perhaps a bit too cocky, a bit too sure of himself. And victory. It's a final victory for the Fatherland. Yeah, that allows me to make silly mistakes. Yeah, no, nine. Ah, scheiß. So, also noting a more set up field gun defense field. Although perhaps a bit too close. I mean, usually you want them to be able to fight the same target, but what you also want is so one field gun can cover the other in case they get flanked. If they're too close, they will both be flanked at the same time by one tank, and they will effectively be less than useful. So that is something to consider right there for Northwestfresh, and of course for you, my dear and handsome viewers. But a third field gun on the way. Clearly Northwestfresh is taking no chances with the German tanks. And we're also noting a Panzer gun to escort with the Panzer Hex, a Ketten Panzerbüchse. And there we go, the Panzer gunners immediately find themselves face down in the dirt. Conscripts leading the advance, light machine gun in hand. Following up here, and there we go, KV-8 spotting the flamethrower bunker, going to sort that one out. Thus opening up the entire right flank of Riggs as well. That is definitely what you'd call a problem for Riggs. Also noting here that Northwestfresh is incredibly low on victory points. Third field gun arriving. Bunker down. And looks like the Panzer is going to try and hunt down the KV-8. Going a bit boldly up here. Actually risking getting caught by the field guns. But looks like Riggs is confident in himself. And there we go. A very single Grenadier squad immediately getting hit with everything the front line can offer. And quickly shifting over here to the 45mm gun to try and deal with the Panzer 4. field gun following up, and that should pretty much be the end of the Panzer IV.
Your predecessor died a hero. Taking fire.
A sector has been cut off.
Conscript finding support, and there we go. Destroyed engine on the Panzer IV. Another one rolling up there for Rix. He seems to be really fond of them, but he also seems to be not really properly supporting them. And of course, that is a vital thing to remember about Panzers. They do need support. That's for the Allies, and basically the Russians as well. It's more the tanks that support the infantry, but with the Germans, you want the infantry supporting the tanks. If they're not supported, you can run into some very nasty headaches.
Here standing by.
We are also noting ambush on the MG42 as well. I hadn't noticed that until now, so perhaps he was a bit late with it.
Shipments have arrived.
And we're noticing tactical movement. Riggs is actually putting a lot of usage out of the Jaeger infantry and actually using it to quickly move about, also getting the troops quick to the front line, and that of course is one good usage of the tactical movement ability, but also to quickly flank, quickly surprise the opponents. Either way, lovely to see that ability used as well. And overall, Riggs putting some usage into his doctrine.
Sniper has arrived.
Sniper arrives, a fresh one for Northwestfresh, popping over to Riggs with 3 Panzerkampfwagen 4. Field guns here getting bombarded with a fresh German mortar, which has also got an ambush. No,
Mortar element.
thankfully not. Slightly pulling back there in the face of German light artillery. But the German mortar already looks to be putting in a lot of hurt into the Russian lines. And there you go, the assault commences. Scout car leading the way. KV-8 looks like he's getting very desperate, and it looks like the Panzer IV went down. And that also means currently the German positions is outflanked on the west. The Pack 40 needs to quickly turn. The KV-8 is rolling in. This is bad news. The Panzer assault has been forced to vacate the front line. Conscript getting torn up. KV-8 rolls in. And there we go. The Pack 40 fires a shot, but the KV-8 is too durable, too thickly armoured to just be taken down like that, even so low on health. And there we go. The Pack 40 crew is very crispy now, dead, gone, melted, stuck to the gun shield.
Enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
This is a bit bad news there for Riggs. His front line has collapsed. Although we do see a quick response in light artillery barrage being directed in. And the combat engineers quickly retreating in the face of this German response. And Riggs might want to consider actually focusing up his armor and actually providing a single punch in one place, and of course supporting them with infantry, though he's rather suffering gravely in that department. And of course remember, the Panzer IV isn't quite as effective against infantry as it used to be.
Securing our territory.
And another light artillery barrage. Fancy, fancy. Nope, that's actually tactical movement, my mistake. Though that's not bad either. Swiftly moving everything up, including postal support teams, sprinting away. Also having upgraded his Panzer gun with everything, including the Gewehr 43 stats. Definitely interesting. Not what I'd expected, to be honest. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Heavy brutal firing in the center. Right flank largely safe. Another machine gun bunker looks to be set up. Interesting enough, the Soviets did not pursue that deeply the right flank.
Apparently we have been promoted.
And the Soviet sniper team continues to penetrate. German mortar also bombards away. 8 killed so far. MG42 though needs to get out of there. KV-8 rolling up. KV-8 rolling up. And that Panzer IV still hasn't been repaired. In fact, both of Rick's tanks are currently with a damaged engine. That's not really good. And I do believe it's time for the mid-game analysis. Current situation is that Northwestfresh is rather contained in terms of territory, but on the other hand, he's all of a sudden doing a lot of damage to Riggs, and of course also both Riggs tanks are currently a little less than combat effective. They can currently only really be used for defensive operations, and they're also quite far away from the front lines of being any actual help. So in that sense, Riggs needs to reorganize, pull back his troops together, get his tanks repaired, and get them supported with some infantry, and then push ahead. He needs to deliver one hell of a blow quickly before Northwestfresh gets things together and actually counterattack. And of course, Northwestfresh, it's about that counterattack. It's about trying to really push forwards, break through the central front line, which is already good in the way of doing, set up some mines, perhaps also begin doing some more work on the flanks. And so if you can catch either of the two Panzer IVs with a damaged engine currently and wipe them out, that's definitely going to be a huge boon onto him. And of course, Riggs might also want to consider that stopping relying fully on Panzer IVs. He might want to consider getting an Ostwind for dealing with infantry, or perhaps a few Stuks to support the infantry lines as well. And of course, you could also just consider taking straight on and perhaps getting a Panther and a few Panzer IVs to that way deal with things. I mean, the Panzer IVs will certainly be able to deal with the field guns a bit more admirably. And of course the Panthers would be much more durable and thus much harder for the field guns to just take down. And of course Panthers would also be certainly more effective at dealing with the KV-8, so there are definitely some thoughts in that direction as well. I think he shouldn't be spamming out Panzer IVs, because clearly he's losing a lot of them without doing too much with them. And again, that's suppose also another problem with the whole, a lot of people just begun relying on the Panzer IV almost blindly, with perhaps out considering, and of course that's sort of the ironic thing if you consider company heroes. With the Panzer IV, for a larger part, really didn't see that much life except with a few players. But let's return to the fight. KV-8 rolling back, very close to Veterans 1. And swiftly stopped by an MG-42.
Yeah, we're ready for anything.
Einsatzbereit.
And another MG-42 abandoned, including the Pak-40. This is really looking bad for Riggs. Not good at all. Also not sure why Northwestfresh left the field gun up here all alone. He's not going to be able to stop any infantry advance. Only those Panzer grenadiers could very quickly put an end to it.
Enemy is taking our territory.
And another KV-8 out for Northwestfresh. Panzer grenadiers stop a Panzerschreck, which of course happens due to the fact they've been upgraded with more weapons, so there's more of a chance to drop anything. Of course, is one of the hazards of upgrading your squad like that. A Panzer Grenadier squad, of course, it's more likely to simply just drop a Panzerschreck at a loss. KV-8 rolling up, and that's going to cause some problems for the Panzer Grenadiers since they are infantry, and thus they're very vulnerable to the KV-8. And of course, in that sense, that's where you want a tank or something else, since infantry is going to be incredibly vulnerable and thus easy targets for the KV-8. And this one's been repaired, good job. And finally, one Panzer IV has had its engine repaired.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
Combat units marching up, suffering brave wounds. And another push up the center grenadiers, and mortar crews in trouble. Looks like he might lose another grenadier squad. Quickly, schnell, Riggs, schnell. Nein. And looks like he did not make it out of there alive. But Riggs is now stabilizing the situation, less than 100 victory points, whereas Riggs has a lot of victory points compared to Northwestfresh. I hope I didn't reverse the two there. And there we go, Panzer IV back in line of 5. Oh no, moving straight in front of the field gun and quickly taking a hit for that Veteran 2 field gun. KV-8 though also taking a hit. Need to be careful, Riggs. Vorsicht. And a Pak-40 recruit as well. Northwestfresh doing everything to actually increase the amount of anti-tank weaponry he can muster. Now with 3 field guns and a Pak-40, he can lay down a torrent of anti-tank gunfire against anything that Riggs can actually pull up. Which is pretty bad news for Riggs. In particular, considering all the Panzer force he's getting.
You guys, listen to me if you
And there we go. Also nice usage of the merge ability right there from Northwestfresh. Good job there, good sir. Again, it's a slightly neglected ability from the Soviet side to quickly get a troop up to combat effectiveness, or at least in some cases just to preserve veterans. You can just as much serve as in some cases. I mean, you might as well just ensure it doesn't get wiped out on, say, on retreat even then. But well done there, well played. Again, I want to praise such ability usage. As it is, I feel a rather neglected ability on the Soviet side. And looks like we are going to be seeing Rix make actually an actual push. Good lord, an actual assault. Eine Angreif. And bunker number 2 is going to suffer the fate of the first one. Mortar moving up, Grenadiers following up. And conscripts quick retreating in the face of all of this. And of course also alerting Northwestfresh that something's going to happen on the west flank very, very, very soon. And looks like he's finally teched up. Endlich. Also ensuring their pioneers ready on hand to repair the Panzer force. Continued, well, job done. And there we go, Grenadiers using weight tactical movement to ensure things can actually keep up with the tanks as well. I mean, that's also one usage of actually this ability. Some more splendid work there. And using the infantry to scout ahead for the Panzers. And there we go, KB8 getting caught. Pioneers or zombies being rushed into there, but quickly retreat out of there. Grenadiers also retreating, Panzer force going into it, like they're trying to hunt down the KV-8 and finish it off. Apparently didn't sleep too well. My apologies about that. Grenadiers fighting down here, but quickly getting snapped, getting suppressed by all the MG42s that Northwestfresh has been able to secure. And there we go, KV-8 in a lot of trouble. Panzer force, also Panzer force trying to keep up the reinforcement for moving in, but still taking heavy damage from the main gun and the now veteran 2 field gun. This is turning out to be a bad situation for Riggs. Blitzkrieg up, Blitzkrieg wunderbar, and a veteran 3 field gun. KV-8 abandoned. And I fear this Panzer 4 will be a total write-off. But good usage of the Blitzkrieg ability, although don't park it in front of the enemy tank. Park it in front of the enemy field gun. That's actually a bit of a blunder right there from Riggs, a considerable blunder. In fact, lost him a Panzer 4. He did get the veteran 3 field gun, but with some considerable losses, which is less than good. And he's going to lose the Panzer 4 anyways. So ultimately, I would say it wasn't worth it. In fact, when there's also a KV-8 that can still be recovered. So bold attempt, but ultimately, though, the infantry simply couldn't keep up. And thus the Panzer force were left to fend for themselves. The field guns couldn't be cleared up faster than they could. And ultimately, Riggs lost. I mean, had he supported with a few infantry crewmen, he could soldiers, he could probably have broken through and actually cleared out things easier and had the Panzer force support, but still, it did not happen. And it's actually vital to keep your infantry with your tanks. I mean, in one case where it did happen during World War II, where the Germans actually separated the Panzer regiments from the Panzer divisions, it went very, very wrong. And that was in Hungary. And of all the things were actually done in the orders of Heinz Guderian. I'm still unsure as to why it did it, and certainly one book has actually made to believe this might have been under the orders of the Führer, but of course I can't just assume that, and Heinz Guderian himself ordered it, and of course the question is then why? In particular, since it pretty much went against his doctrine. Either way, that went pretty poorly for the Panzers, to put it mildly. But now Riggs has suffered a lot, and he's lost any advantage he might have had. He's now in fact going to be forced on the back foot. Looks like he's setting up for something though. And time to pop over to Northwestfresh again, who, as you might be noting, has a considerably larger force than his opponent. Lots more infantry, lots more support units. Lots more everything else, in fact. Which rather ought to give an indication of the poor position that Mr. Rix is in currently. And rather, in fact, he's making worse by splitting up his units that far. And that's going to be another Panzer IV lost. So there you go. Bit of a tragic situation.
Combat engineers. Shit! Grenade!
Veterans Fleet Company is finally forced away with the appearance of a rifle grenade, although did so with barely taking any damage. And another Panzer IV. I think Riggs might want to consider also getting a few Stugs, perhaps to deal with things as well. Bit higher range, bit more accurate,
Rifleman ready.
and thus more effective against infantry.
Fire incoming!
And also cheaper, but that is his decision, of course.
Still has 300 points.
And these Grenadiers are taking a brave beating, need to get out of there. Panzer IV quickly rolling up. Left flank is lost for the time being. Heavy Panzer Corps, though, is up. We should, of course, see what will follow from that. But the situation is getting rather urgent for the 3rd SS. Panzer IV rolling about.
Our control. AT gun. And our new
KV-1 here. We are losing territory.
Actually, I mean, so far Northwestfresh really hasn't done much with his doctrine. He's not used shock troopers, no fear propaganda artillery, no howitzer, and no bombing strikes.
point is ours.
He's in fact only used the KV-8s. Interesting. That is not to say he's used them poorly, but it certainly stands out.
Enemy forces capturing supply sector.
Skirmishing on the left flank, a bit more serious fighting on the right flank. Looks like the pioneers over there have been forgotten and in fact getting murdered by Northwestfresh. That was less than well handled by Riggs. Might have lost the tension of things. And there we go, Panzerkampfwagenfirms has been sent in to support everything else.
Awaiting command.
Supply sector under attack.
And rolling ahead the conscripts, perhaps not such a great idea that close.
Supply lines have been cut.
We serve.
You have orders.
Squad at full strength.
Panther continuing to take shots from afar with its high velocity 75mm gun.
Under attack. G-32 engineer standing by. Yes, comrade.
Small duel here, and we are quickly seeing the KV-8 support by Pack 40, which pretty much going to mean that Panzer IV won't be able to break through there. And another push supported by Panzer Grenadiers as well. Meet the Sturmgewehr. But now it is Northwestfresh who is leading the game and dominating the map. Sadly, that Panther's not having much luck. Conscripts advancing up. KV-8s on the horizon. No field guns or anti-tank guns though, which could prove to the advantage of the Panther. Another tactical movement up from Riggs. Going to make a hard push for the left flank, which is currently rather open. Panther though not supported.
Enemy armor!
And there we go, anti-tank grenade. Another pack out for Riggs. Good old Riggsy. And KV-8 making a straight run for the infantry, which is now without any support.
We earned this territory! We will keep enemy contact! Man down!
And there we go, KV-8 pulling back. Field gun moving up. And looks like he's even recruited the German mortar. Cheeky. And a mechanized armor company finally arriving, but of course question is it necessary with all of these veteran field guns, the Pak 40, the conscripts with anti-tank grenades, of course the 2 KV-8s.
Okay, that's the last one!
Looks like Northwestfresh is taking it a bit easy at the moment.
Enemy forces are neutralizing a sector.
Another tactical movement. Looks like Riggs is very fond of that ability.
MG-42 is tickling us.
You men have arrived!
And they're advancing on the left flank and popping back to Riggs. Who's definitely got a lot less combat units.
We can't take this!
Not sure what he's up to with that Panther.
We're dying here!
And a push up on the right flank with the Panther focus over Grenadiers. Rifle grenade, but ultimately not doing much. The Panther fall like it will go down. Anti-tank grenade is going to be an easy target for the Pak 40. A foolhardy assault by Riggs, and there we go. Panther fall down. Combat loss. MG42 supported by Pak 40, pushing up there while the Panther's moving in on its own on the west. Seems like Riggs has lost it. Either that or I can absolutely not identify what sort of idea is going through his head.
Contact! Contact! Grenadier squadron, full strength!
And the pack got cleared up by the field gun. Definitely not encouraging news.
We are losing a sector.
He could have gotten a Panzerwehr for some time ago, but apparently decided against it. And he's left his Panther very much on his own with no support at all in the west. He's barely got any infantry units at all. This is not what you'd call a good or promising situation. Unless, of course, you're the one playing the Soviets, in which case it's a very good situation. A very good one. Yes, indeed.
Ready for orders.
Grenadiers moving up and getting the MG42 team there. Quickly give air 43 bullets. A rifle grenade as well.
The enemy is taking our territory.
The right flank is falling completely into Soviet hands. Panther and whatever little can be mustered for support moving up the west. The situation is looking to get worse every moment.
You need something?
And the Panthers overall seeing limited usage at the moment. And there we go, an anti-tank grenade. And a few Panzer grenades head down in the right hand side. And watch this, a bombing strike on the Panther, almost knocking it out. Well done there. Panthers continue to fight here versus a conscript squad with a light machine gun stolen from the hand of the fascists. And already one poor bastard goes down here. Noting ambush. Camouflage. More conscripts dropping.
Fucking
Our opponents are seizing the sector.
And a sniper adding into the fun as well. And a KV-8 moving up support by the field gun. And that was that Panther.
We have lost a Panzer.
And now we're seeing a Sturmpanzer 4 arriving. Of all the things to see and behold.
Our forces increase.
Don't think it will change much. Don't even think a Wunderwaffen could save this situation. The losses have simply been too high without doing sufficient damage on his opponent. But there we go, one last push, it would seem.
We are losing the sector. We must stiffen our resolve. We are down to
Speeding
75
things up a
points.
bit. Sturmpanzer 4 rolling up.
We have been assigned fresh Panzer
Pack 40, Veteran T2. One hell of a hit there from the Sturmpanzer 4, completely evaporating some poor soul.
We're taking back fire. We have sifted the enemy's attempt.
And there we go, half the pack crew is dead. Sturmpanzer 4 moving in. Infantry supporting, but quickly getting suppressed. Snipers also nearby.
The enemy has broken our supply lines.
And actually getting in front of this pack 40, and there we go, clearing it out. And wiping out the crew, but we're quickly seeing another field gun arriving. The news are not good.
Anti-tank gun firing!
And that Sturmpanzer 4 could risk going down. Meanwhile, two Panzer squads trying their best to hold up the Soviet advance right here from supporting the Sturmpanzer 4's defeat. And another bombing strike straight on the Panzer Grenadiers. Looks like Northwestfresh doesn't care much anymore. Oh my goodness! 4 squads just wiped out! He killed his own men even! Northwestfresh doesn't care! Only about victory! Oh, good lord, that's a massacre! Nothing short of a massacre. Bodies everywhere. But there you go, game over with that explosive ending. A loss to the Germans, to the Third SS. Panzerdivision das Totenkopf, I mean. A victory for the Soviets. Ultimately, the problem came down to Rix a bit. He all of a sudden began slacking off. Poor disposition of support units, which left them very vulnerable, in particular to KVA. I suppose he was also quite surprised by the KVA, and he certainly seemed unsure how to handle it. Not retreating Panzer Grenadiers in time with their Panzer Rex, Pack 40s and all that, not supported or well numbered in that sense, and running his Panzer force constantly into the field guns. Again, he's a bit, seems not quite caught up. Then, Panzer forces aren't quite as good as they were, and even then they could still be dealt with back then. They can now, even more certainly. So in that sense, there are a few problems here with Rix, how he responded, which in some ways was a bit erratic. He actually ended up spreading out his units more and more, forgoing actually the ability to deliver one sort of kind of solid punch, making it easier for Rix to focus down on the more spread out units of Rix, and Northwestfresh to do that. So in that sense, Rix rather set himself his demise by about the half, well, even perhaps before the half mark on the game, and slowly but surely went there due to Northwestfresh constantly pressuring, making good use of his KV-8. I would have liked to see more usage out of his rest of his doctrine, but still that was pretty good aggression, good use of the scout cars, although it could have been better I suppose, and good usage of the field guns packs, and basically using his own opponent's own equipment against him. And certainly Rix handed over too much to the Soviet player, so there are definitely some improvements there. And again, he probably should have either checked up faster or made use of some different units from the Panzer Support Armor Corps. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned a thing or two. If you did, why not subscribe? Tell your friends. If you didn't, well, why not send a replay of your own, or provide some feedback in the comments. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.